Hello. Welcome to everybody in the Twitter world. I just posted a link in the Telegram, so I know some people are probably flooding in from there. What is up, Rotes for Loco, Danksy, Max? How's everybody doing today?
Hey
What's
guys,
up, boys?
Excellent.
Happy Friday.
Love that. Yeah, so
How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for asking. Yeah, doing well. Can't complain. I see Bag Berserker in the chat. Rojam, what's up, guys? Big bounce. I mean, pretty big bounce today on Bitcoin. Pretty crazy to see. Something that we've been talking about for a while. That we're starting to see the positive. Can you mute your mic? Thanks to you. Anybody? Um, Pretty crazy to see. We'll see if there's some follow through and it continues. But either way, we're starting to see a lot of the negative news cycle that's been bearing down on everybody kind of shift to positive. We're seeing a lot of positive news around Ukraine today, and some crypto related news. So love to see that. Usually, we're gonna go over the Bitcoin bounce, everything that's going on. We're gonna hear a lot from Max here today as well. For those of you guys who are on the stream, let me see. Did I post? Let me make sure this is the right link. Oh no. Why is this? Just making sure the link's correct. Why is the link? Why is the stream not showing up on the? Go to my Twitter. It's like you click on it and you can't access the stream. Thanks, you there?
Working for me.
You can see the stream because I'm going to my Twitter and it's just showing like the Bridge 3 Labs thing. Okay. Anyway, as long as everybody
Works
else
for me.
okay,
Yeah.
as long as everybody else can see it, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure. It's because the little thing on the bottom's lagging. But either way, we're gonna hear from Max about everything that's going on today. But usually the way we start this show is by kind of doing a little bit of a review from the past few days since we've been on the show. A nice 5-10 minute review from my boy Rotes here. Rotes, you want to go ahead and pull that up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just checking out to see how everything is working here because I don't see your link off of your Twitter.
That's what I'm saying.
Is the thing.
I don't think it's working. There's only 13 people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's
working. It's working.
It's not though because it's not working the same.
It didn't post a link, is what it is, and so then he can't share out a link to
Okay.
it.
I think we.
I think if you share this link, so let me. If you go to the live stream by clicking your red circle, you can share out that link. I can put it in private chat here as well.
Yeah, please send it to the private chat. Yeah, it's working for the stream, guys. It's just not sending the link properly so people can get in. We want to make sure we do that before we get started. No worries, some just technical difficulties.
Yeah, this link here should get you to it.
Did you post it in the Bossman channel?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not working properly. Let's post the correct link here. Let's see.
Yeah, the usual 5,000 haven't gotten here yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's how we're looking for 25K.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I mean, people are getting to the post. It's because they're clicking on the X broadcast though. Does that take them to? Yeah.
Okay, we just posted it too on our B3L Discord. So let's see. It's a new one, right? It's a new link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The post is getting it. Let's see if we apologize for the technical. We're seeing a little bit of bigger jump here. So, awesome. Yeah, no, I'm seeing more people in the chat. We appreciate you guys. Just a little bit of technical difficulties. If you're just hopping in, we're just getting started here. We got Max here for Loco, Danksy, Rotes. We're going to be talking about everything that's going on in the market. The big bounce today on Bitcoin. The positive news cycle that's kind of starting to come out, as well as a lot more memes, kind of the juicy memes that I'm looking at right now. But before we get to that, we want to do a little bit of a review from the past few days. So, Rotes, whenever you're ready, brother.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the technical details are all because of Elon. So, if we can blame anyone, we'll do that. But yeah, Bitcoin here is looking to reclaim the 200 EMAs. There's going to be some resistance around that 85K range. I keep saying major volatility, but it's other than a couple days there, it really is kind of almost in normal behavior in terms of swing, and it's actually showing more stability than the majority of crypto. outside of XRP, and it's in this kind of downshift, right? Federal income taxes going away sub 150K, possibly. It's kind of a goal of Trump. There's a few different things that Trump has said or wanted. The other one is that he wants to own as much Bitcoin as possible. Both really interesting, eye-catching headlines. All to kind of to be determined. Soft PPI results kind of was what pushed a bit of a slide in the market here yesterday. And in overall, but like I said, crypto has seen a bounce, and a pretty good one when you looked at the heat map prior to going over to the slides here. Everything across the board looking really green on the crypto side of things. ETH is trading at a 5-year low versus Bitcoin, which is pretty wild. And then the AI agent market cap at 4.6 billion, up 7.13% over the last 24 hours. But yeah, lots more going on across the board. There's still some tariff kind of back and forth. A lot of the kind of the usual headlines, but overall, pretty good day in the midst of a bit of a struggle in the markets. NFTs volume is pretty consistent. Seeing some movers. Actually, NFTs are kind of a bit of a bright spot here lately. We have Good Vibes Club with a pretty successful mint out and launch, up about 2x from mint price, and a positive reveal, getting a bit of buzz on the timeline, and it's excellent to see. And then followed up by that is Sam Spratt with the Masquerade, his Skull PFPs that are kind of launched and revealed. They're also doing quite well in this kind of like 5 ETH-ish range, and I think they'll continue to perform excellent in that kind of niche art side of things. Won't get the volume, but I think if you look at them as a PFP on the art side of things, kind of a la Xcopy, Grifters, etc., these I think should do pretty well. Everything Sam Spratt has done so far has been really strong. So another one to look at on the higher end side of things. Quantum Cats, a bit of a bounce here, 13.6%. I think they pulled back on some of the mint mechanics, etc., for Taproot Wizards, but now rallying up a bit. And actually, most ordinal projects are getting a bit of a relief bounce here over the last 24 hours. And then Project Aeon up 18% to 0.46. So seeing some green on the NFT side of things. Meme coins as well. A lot of green on the last 24 hours. Some of the major movers, we have Pepe up 5% to 3 billion. Kind of flat on the 7-day. Trump up 13% to 2.4 billion. Down 8% over the week, but recovering a lot of those losses. WIF up 11.7% to 500 million, only down 5% on the week. And PopCat, same thing, down 5% on the week, but up 11.3% to 200 million on the last 24 hours. And a big shift in market sentiment overall. The 100K by month end has gone up 5% to 13% since yesterday, and the 70K has gone down 14% from 30 down to 16% probability. So a positive market shift there in sentiment. We are, and Furloco brought this up prior to us starting, but we are going into the weekend. So we're getting this rally prior to the weekend where we've seen a lot of red. I'll be interested to see everyone's thoughts. Cue Brent.
My bad. I realized I was still muted. Awesome review. I appreciate it, Rhodes. Before we go on to the good stuff, I want to look at the chat. We'd love to make this stream interactive, so definitely we'll be looking at that. Leave any comments, questions, anything you want us to see. Umber Boy says, sorry, someone said Umber Boy says Pepe will last as long as there is bull runs on the earth. Yeah, we'll look at Pepe. Maxwell says hello, family. Bagseeker says bounce. Magnus says, oh, didn't know that ETH was still leading on NFT volume. But yeah, so those of you guys have been on the stream lately, you've seen my friend Max Crypto on here. We've been so blessed to have him. He actually just put out a new YouTube channel, which we'll go over in a second. But Max has four 4 decades of traditional finance experience, managing money at a very high level. He's let me see here. Sorry, I was reading something. He's been on Forbes, Fox News, CNBC countless times, giving his takes, specifically a lot of times on these different crises. So we're so blessed to have him, especially during this time. So Max, how you doing today, brother?
Good, man. Hey, is the link that you put in Boss Man Calls post right there? Is that the one I give if people want to come?
Yes. Yeah.
The one that says x.com, Bren Trade status.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Perfect. So yeah, today, let me share my screen real quick on here.
Yeah, I think the biggest, I mean, the only thing I would kind of get people focused on is I think there's been a tremendous, like, gigantic amount of misperception as to what's really happening with tariffs. I just think that when we look back on this, we're going to realize, wow, did we overdo the fear mechanism? You got to get your head wrapped like you're sitting inside the White House, not like you're outside reading the headlines. You got to. Well, I think it's going to be much healthier and much more profitable if you think of it that way. Because here's what you would arrive at if you did, and it would be this: when Donald Trump extended from March 2nd to April 2nd for Canada and Mexico and China, he did it for one reason and one reason only: because he already knows that he's going to make a deal before April 2nd with at least two of those. That's why you're really not hearing a lot of screaming from the other parties. You got a little bit from Canada, but notice in the last 24 hours, they piped down quite a bit. The reason that's happening is because the one thing Donald Trump wants to do, and he's going to do it in a way where everybody's going to be left at the station, just like they always are. You're going to wake up one day before April 2nd, and he's going to tell you about the new deals. And then he's going to tell you that there are no tariffs going into effect on April 2nd for whomever stepped up to the plate. And I assure you, somebody's going to step up to the plate. And we're going to realize something that is almost stunning when you really break down the numbers. I did this last night with Bren. I hope I don't bore people to death, but if I got a few minutes, I'm going to break down the numbers so you realize how badly off target we are. Okay. So, and I have these stats all together. If you guys want a copy of the email I send to clients, just, I don't know, send Bren your email and I'll put you on the list. But the point is this.
I'll get a list together for Max to send that out.
Yeah. The point is this. The United States, follow these numbers. The United States does $2.2 trillion worth of trade outside this country. About 850 billion of it is with Canada. About 750 billion, and by the way, I don't have these numbers exact. They're in my email, but we're close. About 750 billion with Mexico, and about 575 billion with China. All of those numbers are big numbers. It scares the shit out of people. Everybody hears the big numbers and they think, holy fuck, the whole world's going to end. Well, let me show you how big the numbers are. Let's just pretend that I am completely wrong about what Trump is doing. I am 1,000% wrong. And on April 2nd, they go to war. And 25% tariffs are added to every damn thing on that list. 1 year from now, no, excuse me, I'm wrong. 1 year from April 22nd, that's what you first have to pretend goes by. 1 entire year, if indeed 1 entire year goes by and 25% tariffs are charged to everybody, there's $545 billion of tariffs. $545 billion, and that's 1 year from now. Okay, get that thought in your mind. 545 billion, a lot of money. That's a ton. That's huge. But guess what? If you think for a second, you will realize that it's 1.8% of our $30 trillion economy. 1.8%. Now, why am I pointing out 1.8%? Here's why. Friday of last week, 1 week ago, during the panic that ended the week, just in one day, we erased $1.7 trillion of stock value in 1 6-hour period. That is 3.11 years of tariffs. We did it all in 24 hours. Now, here's the worst part. In the last 5 weeks, we have erased $5 trillion. That is 9.7 years of tariffs. A decade. Do you actually believe that we're going to be 10 years older before this all ends? It's not even remotely. It might be 10 days, but it's not going to be 10 years.
So essentially, you're saying it would take 10 years of the tariffs to go on for just to wipe out what we've lost in value in the stock market from people being scared of that potential.
They're so fucking scared of 545 billion that they decided to go burn 5 trillion.
Yeah. Don't make sense.
So think of that logic for a minute. Because here's what's going to happen, guys. What's going to happen is Donald Trump likes to be a hero. He likes to be the guy that got the deal. So he gave himself 30 days to make a deal, and he gave the other guys 30 days with a gun to their head. That's how you make a deal, by the way. And he will make the deal. And when he does, let me tell you something. When he does, before anybody can even forget remotely how fucking afraid they are, the market will be up 3,000 points.
Just like on the other side, the fear will turn into
and they will be their head will be spinning. This is what happens when you get so fucking off course that think of that logic for a second. Pick either number you want. Pick the 1.7 trillion or the 5 trillion, and then measure that against an entire year of max tariffs. And by the way, we haven't even talked yet about the amount of money that you actually have to offset against that 545 billion of tariffs from crude oil going from $80 at the start of the year to 67 now. Do you know that we have the cheapest gasoline in the last 7 months today? Guess how much that saves each year? Billions and billions and billions of dollars. If you were an accountant and you started managing all of these inputs and outputs, let me tell you something. That 545 billion is going to get whittled down all by itself by a ton. So the numbers get even crazier. We have gone so overboard on this tariff garbage that we're going to look like fools when we're done. Well, not us, and certainly not our clients, but the people who are terrified are going to regret what they did, and a lot sooner than you realize. And you know what that's going to do? You know what that's going to do to Bitcoin and Ethereum and all those other coins? They're going to fucking go through the roof.
Love that. Yeah, we're looking at this poly market bet last night on the Telegram stream. By the way, definitely Max and I do two of these calls on Twitter with the gang here, and then two or three a week in the Telegram as well. In the VC and Boss Man calls Telegram. That one's a little bit more intimate, where we're just having like a talk. Last night we were looking at this poly market bet that still has a pretty much odds on poly market still have favoring that Trump won't remove the tariffs. Kind of the opposite of what Max is saying. So I mean, if you're a betting man, this all makes sense to you. This might be something to look at. But either way, yeah. So you think before the 12th that's likely to happen?
That bet will be a good bet.
When Max sounds sure like this, you don't want to fade him. I love that. Let's see, Andre. Looking in the chat. Awesome. I appreciate you guys for liking, sharing the stream. It looks like here we're like number 3 on the live X thing with the other big accounts I have here. So appreciate you guys for sharing. So tariffs, yeah, we've been pretty consistent on there. Max has been saying that eventually, it will work out not only in the U.S.'s favor, but those who go along with it will have the overall globe will have better. It'll be better for the overall world. Interesting to see.
Got to remember this, guys. Here, I sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. Remember this. This is a war. I get that, and we have to all accept that it is a war. The other guys, the other side of the table, the other side of the chessboard, cannot afford the war. So, like I said last night, if here's the way tariff wars work, if you can't afford them. If you can't afford them, you do exactly what Trump is doing. That's number one. Number two, if you can't afford them, which is the other 3 guys. Now, keep in mind, they can afford them for a month, maybe a quarter, but they will be absolutely busted. And it will be very painful for their people. And they will be in bad shape when it comes to getting the next vote. But here's what you do if you're them. When you hear that Trump, that idiot, has charged me a tariff, you go out to as many microphones as you can and you tell everybody that's listening how fucking stupid he is. You tell him how much you're going to fight him. You tell him, bring it on, brother, because we're here and we're going to double up. It's kind of like a poker table in Vegas. I'm going to overbet, hoping you go away. And then what you do, after you're done beating your chest and telling everybody it's no problem at all, what you do then is you go back in your office, you get on the phone, and you start negotiating.
Yep.
That's the way this works. And those negotiations, by the way, don't go very well for the first couple of weeks because you're trying to get out cheap. And Trump is saying, I'm going to fucking bury you if you don't agree to everything I'm asking for. And then slowly, painfully, that burns off until the midnight oil is being burned before the deadlines.
Gotcha. And that's when those tariffs were supposed
Are you guys...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, are you guys superstitious? Because everyone was calling for retrace today because of the blood moon. And there's obviously some people that really trade around this, but are you guys superstitious and you believe in that?
The astrology and the markets. It's not a serious question. I'm just kidding. Let me see. Already in, sir. Appreciate you guys for commenting. Let's see on the chat. What did you place a short before the blood moon for Loco?
No, I haven't. Actually, only had longs with so far. I just think that the market has, obviously, what Max was saying makes a lot of sense. But there's just like, I think we were discussing Rhodes and I that all the headlines of fear have already been pretty much published, right? So how much fear can you induce to people before smart investors start to buy this dip, right? So even if the blood moon was another effort to bring the stocks or crypto down, I think it worked against it, and we're seeing a big bounce today for a reason. So
What's
Yeah.
what's the
I
fear?
know I'm
and
not
greed-
superstitious.
What's the fear and greed index
I
right
don't
now? It
know.
was like 15 on Tuesday, right, or
Yeah, it was
something?
15 on Tuesday. That was the day where you probably wore everybody out.
Yeah.
Mentally anyway. Mentally. Keep in mind, price can have a little momentum to it, but it's on very weak volume. But once emotion expenses itself at its peak, um, it'll die. It's there's sort of a resignation to it. In other words, whoever wanted to sell was done at that 15, and 95% of the volume that wanted out was probably dissipated. And then it chops around and ideally goes to sleep for a little while.
Brian, can you pull up the fear greed? See what's
Yeah, we're at 18 right now.
Yeah.
18. Do you mind sending the link in that and the
easy
Telegram?
3 points. That's the freest 3 points of my life.
Yeah, I mean, if we really wanted this to be a perfect world, we'd want this thing to hang around here for a bit.
Yeah.
You know,
more
we
consolidation.
want it really to be suffocated, and ideally you stand by and watch that number stay down. You know, I'd say sub 20 or 21, and ideally it stays there for a little bit, even a week or two.
Yeah.
And you've kind of put out the fire. You know, everybody's given up. Well, I take that back. The people that were prepared to give up have given up.
They sacrificed
Yeah.
their stress for
Yeah.
the stress.
Remember, guys, there's a price to all of this. The price is, will you take the pain? Because exiting the pain is very, very easy. I mean, it's simple. You just hit the sell button.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's easy to get out of. It's hard to stay in, and that's the cost.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, real quickly, Max just started a YouTube channel here that he just uploaded. Videos started a few days ago. Definitely go check this out. I watched all of them yesterday. A lot of the relevant stuff we're talking about right now with crisis, especially. Definitely go check out the feel the pain of fear and don't listen to the media headlines. It shows so many different examples of the last 10 to 20 years where the media says, oh, this is the worst it's going to get. There's a recession fears. There's this, there's that, and the other. And every time it just shows how the Dow just keeps going up. How there's always something. Really, the only constant in the market is the next crisis. And that's really what this content that Max has put out so far is based on. Definitely go check that out. Expect a lot more content coming from him in general in 2025 from both him and I. So definitely check this out as well. Team 6 Crypto, as well as if you guys haven't followed him on Twitter as well, same name at Team 6 Crypto. YouTube in there as well. So Max, what do you? I know you were talking a little bit about the videos yesterday. What is your kind of objective and these videos up here?
Yeah. What I was trying to do is give you, there's a. I think the best way to think of these videos and my hope or intent in providing insight or some kind of value for a lesson here and there is when you are blessed with and I do feel like it was a blessing to experience 4 decades of watching the Dow go from 901 to 45,000. You learn things that no book is ever going to teach you, and you are able to strengthen understanding. The reason I'm pointing it out is I'd like you to consider this idea, because I think it's what we're going to find unfolds if we're all having this call 10 years from now and we look back on the last 10 years. We're going to look back to this period, and what I think is unfolding in front of us is I feel like I'm experiencing another verse of the same play or the same song. And what I mean by that is the pathway that I've experienced and the emotions that I've learned about and the strengths that you need and the things you need to ignore and the way you have to position your emotions, watching 901 on the Dow go through all of the disasters and all the way up to 45,000, I think that's exactly where we are in the crypto world today. I think we're starting that process. So the purpose of having traditional finance kind of perceptions in these videos is to give you a sense of what you're going to have to be willing to do as we watch crypto unfold, because it's just starting, guys. This is brand new still. This is like the beginning. I realize
Yeah.
that sounds foolish, but it's just starting. And
You know,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm excited about the not to interrupt you, Max. Sorry.
No.
I'm excited about the stable coins as use case, because I know it's a little bit more boring than owning altcoins or Bitcoin, but the fact that we keep seeing more stable coins and more more capital being flowed into stable coins actually gives me a lot of confidence. I don't know if you guys saw the headline that USDC, I guess is USYC, is going to be launching a kind of like a tokenized yield collateral, offering 4 to 5% annual yield just to hold stable coins. So that's the first step for me, I think, to bring investors that want to kind of like be exposed to crypto, but they don't want to be they don't want to have the risk of
like a money
owning
market account.
altcoins or etc.
Yeah, it's like a money
That's right.
market.
It's like having it in a money market. That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And so you keep seeing all the stablecoin supply, whether it's USDT or USDC, growing. That tells me investors are trying to get comfortable and deploying capital and looking for safe yield before before anything else. So just to point it out.
It's what it's doing is it is creating the new world of currency exception. In other words, it's a slow way for people to begin their acceptance. Okay, the really scared ones will buy stable because they're it's like walking up to a lake and putting your toe in the water to see if it's hot or cold. And that's that's the way I would try to think of a stable coin. So you're right. As you watch those balances roll up, it's people walking up and putting their toe in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Got another U.S. state, Kentucky, just passed the Senate with the strategic reserve bill. So we got a lot more states. I think like almost 30 now that are in the process of this. Again, like we've reiterated on the stream, this is all just the talks of it. None of these states have actually bought this Bitcoin yet. And when that does happen, you can imagine what it's going to do.
I also think it's fascinating that Saylor has gone quiet right after he raised all that new money. So I'm interested to see what he posts, because clearly he's buying. So
yep.
We should probably look at the chat, guys, too. There's a lot of people asking questions there. Why on USYD with USYC?
Go ahead.
Just cut out. I think he cut out. Let's see. Does Brent have a YouTube channel? Yeah, I do. I have some videos lined up. I'm gonna start posting. But it's just at Brent Trade, same thing. No videos on there yet. I don't see the question that Furloco is reading. But I am looking at the chat. What's up, Najat? What's up, Crypt Fam? What's up, Freedom Jack? But let's see. Yeah, Michael Saylor. Let's see. Yeah, he was talking about raising the whatever 15 billion the other day. Been tweeting a little bit, but he hasn't said anything since yesterday. He tweeted big things are coming or whatever. Oh, that was a few days ago. Definitely, if you guys have time and you have like 30-40 minutes to spare over the next few days, go check out Michael Saylor's recent talk at the Crypto Summit. That'll give you.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Someone asked about Ton. If you guys have any opinion, I'm just looking at the chat right now.
I'll look at that right now. Chandra says Michael Saylor's made of steel. Yeah, for real. Keek Chart says, "Yo, what's up, Keek?" So, Ton. For me, I think like I don't know where Ton's at the overall crypto market cap, but just to put it simply, like Max has been saying on these streams as well, just the top 20 to 50 coins in market cap from Bitcoin's appreciation and just over the overall crypto market's appreciation over the next few years. Coins like Ton that again are just in that top 20 to 50 market cap range, I should expect to do well, especially again, Ton. I do like a lot of what they're building. I think they're really ahead of their time with integrating the blockchain into their app that people are already using. I really like how you can pretty much tokenize your Telegram name, put it on the blockchain as like an NFT, which I think is super cool. Now, I don't know if a lot of these other apps are going to create their own L1. Most likely, I think they're going to create probably an L2 on like Optimism and stuff like that. But I do think Ton has the blockchain integrated into an app that millions of people already use. I think there's a lot that they can do with it. What is this, like a 60% correction? If this is during like the middle of a quote unquote cycle, or we're not in a bear market, like I think this is a great entry. So I honestly don't have I have a bit of Ton. I've been accumulating more so AVAX because I think it's going to be a really big beneficiary of like the coming gaming / AI run that I think is likely in the next few years. But to answer your question, I think Ton, just the fact that it's a top 50 coin, and an app pretty active founder and all that, I think it might be a, if that's your coin and something you believe in, it might be a good area to add. But do you have any? Do you have any Ton, Max? Is that one you've ever bought?
I don't, but
Yeah.
I probably will. I mean, look, at this stage, anything in the top 50 is a steal.
Yeah, I love that. I love that mindset.
I mean, you can literally. Here's another thing to consider, guys. Usually, when you're wanting to buy, here's a perspective that might be healthy to consider. Usually, when you're trying to buy lows in a big market trend, you're having to go to small, tiny, maybe a little more risky coins and tokens. This time around, because of the absolutely ludicrous amount of fear that has expensed itself here, which is a blessing, by the way. This time around, you can throw a dart at the top 100 coins. I mean, these are big, beefy, long-term, utilized, utility-based, real live projects that have been around for years, and now you get to buy them. I mean, that just doesn't happen very often. And by the way, not only does it not happen very often, but if you get the chance to do it, you should expect it to be ugly, because this should not be happening. We should not have the opportunity to do this, but we do.
Hell yeah. No reason to overcomplicate it right now when coins like Ton are down 60, 70%.
I mean, it's nutty. That's nutty. Look at Tau. Just go down the list to all the way to 150 and, pick 20 of them.
Yep. Oh yeah. Dark says, can you look at ETH? Yeah, I'll look at ETH right now. Now, Max, the dollar, do you look at the DXY often?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Do you think, of course, nobody knows for sure, but obviously in a world where, Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, risk assets continue to the upside, do you see the dollar getting under 100?
Well, the dollar's going to come down because rates are going to come down. So the dollar is anticipating what the Fed is going to have to do.
Okay.
Because look, guys, I don't remember. We've done so many of these talks. I don't remember where I talked about this part, but the bond world is going to change in massive ways. If Elon Musk is half as successful as he is describing he's going to be, in a year or two down the road, there will be very little supply of new bonds available, because the United States will be running on either a balanced budget or a surplus, meaning all those bonds that people are used to being able to buy for real purpose, they won't be there every quarter. So they're going to start bidding for the bonds that are available. And when that happens, rates are going to be permanently low. The Fed will almost be a non-event. I mean, these changes
I think
are so large.
how fast do you think we sorry, Max. How
No,
fast do you think we catch up to the? I mean, obviously, if this changes are being implemented, that's great. But how fast do you think we catch up to how the interest on our national, I guess, on our debt? Do you think we catch up within years, within decades? Because we owe like 35 trillion. Is that what it is? Our deficit,
yeah,
something like that.
let's talk about that because it's helpful to make sure people know what that 36 trillion represents. First of all, I have a question for you. Just ponder this in your own minds. But if you borrow $36 billion out of your right pocket and 18 billion of it came out of your left pocket, do you really owe $36 billion?
You owe it to your right pocket.
Yeah, right. So why do I say that? Well, look at that number on the screen. That is one scary fucking number. Now, I want you to imagine this while you're looking at that number. 18.1 billion, almost exactly half of that number, was purchased by United States-based investors who wanted the bonds. So do we really owe $36 trillion? No, we don't. But see, if someone actually told you that, what would happen? Everybody'd be fucking excited. And the press doesn't want you excited. Because if you're excited, you're not going to pay attention to them. And if you don't pay attention to them, they don't make any money. So their job is to keep you fucking afraid. Now, so let's go back to the deficit. So 36 trillion really isn't owed because 18 trillion of it is ours. Now, if we find out what I'm pretty sure we're going to find out, and that is that most of our politicians are fucking criminals and they have stolen money or defrauded us as taxpayers for much longer than we're going to want to hear. It is going to be revolting. It's going to be nauseating when you finally uncover all this crap. But if you do and you stop it, then guess what? This number starts shrinking by itself. So think about those forces. I'm going to give you an example of what they found. And they just uncovered this today. It was just released this morning on a tweet about 6 a.m. 9 years ago, Michelle Obama got a reimbursement for expenses on a state dinner of $112,000 9 years ago. While that was being entered, they turned off the do not repeat button in the fucking ancient historical computer system that our country runs on. And they never turned it off. You know what that means? Every month for 9 fucking years, she's gotten a check for $112,000.
Michelle has?
Michelle Obama.
You're saying the one to Michelle? Wow.
Yes.
Incredible. I think it's delayed, but that's incredible.
And the funny thing too is that the previous, and not that I want to go left or right here, but most previous administrations' goal to reduce our national debt was to actually increase the government revenue with raising taxes and hiring more IRS employees, right? So they essentially want to put further constraint on your citizens instead of reducing spending, which is the number one goal to reduce debt.
Bingo.
So
yes,
it's so interesting.
And remember, we're watching the guy that now everybody hates, but the guy that's getting his merry band of young, really genius computer wizards to find all this shit is the same guy that bought Twitter turned it into X, fired 80% of the workforce. 80%. And it now makes more money than it did when he bought it. Think about that for a minute, because I'm going to tell you guys that is precisely what he's going to do with our government.
Love that. It's already happening. Yeah, I saw that video where he was talking about how whatever that processing machine that you were talking about that processes the checks for the federal government, how they're finding, so many of these dead people, all these people that have been dead for years still getting checks. He was saying a lot of it's negligence, but a lot of it is fraud.
Let me tell you what they found in the Social Security system. Now, you remember how many friggin' times we have been told over the last few decades that Social Security is going to run out of money. You remember all that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There is a button in the software program at Social Security that is called an automatic detector of duplication. It's called deduplication. So when the button's on, it means that you can't enter the same Social Security number for a check and get two checks. Well, guess what? Mr. Obama turned that button off.
Wow.
So for at least 15 years, if you want to enter a Social Security number 45 times, they're going to get 45 checks.
Sounds like you need some macro data refinement.
Well, no, what you need to do is throw criminals in jail. That's what you need to do. But yes, you're right. The point is when they're done reprogramming this, and when they're done getting like modern day computer systems and software and the ability to manage it on an app instead of the 75,000 human beings, when they do that, the world is going to change completely. All the shit we've heard for our entire life about how much trouble we're in is going to have been false because they were stealing it.
Wow.
Let me give you an example. And by the way, this has nothing to do with left or right. This is about money. Okay? Just understand, this is not politics. But I want to give you an example because she loves being in the press. 8 years ago, AOC was a fucking bartender. Okay? She was a bartender. Now, I don't know about you, but okay, so maybe her looks got her more money each night than the average Joe. But she wasn't making 178 grand a year. Okay, but then she got her ass elected. She has made a salary for 8 years of $178,000. Manage these numbers in your mind, okay, guys? 178 grand for 8 years. When she filed her first disclosure statement when she arrived in Washington, her net worth was $41,000. Do you know what her net worth is today? 17 million.
We'll now talk about Elizabeth Warren, because I think that's the number one crook.
Oh, they're all crooks, but you're right. The point is that you can't have that much money unless you stole it.
Right. Yeah, I think their salary, Nancy Pelosi's salary was like $200,000 a year, and her net worth is like 70 or.
Oh my God, no!
200 million, no?
Her net worth
crazy.
is 200 million.
That's insane.
I wonder when we start seeing.
I want to be in the government too.
I wonder when we start seeing her making some crypto trades on her fucking thing. That's her next transition to start extracting.
I'll tell you what I hope is happening. I hope that wonderful new Attorney General, Miss Bondi, is spending all of her time writing up charges against every politician who took kickbacks. Because here's how they did it, guys. They hacked the system using Elon Musk's own words. And he said this live on Rogan's show. They hacked the system. Here's what they did. They had their girlfriend or their boyfriend or their husband or their wife start an NGO. And then they got grants because you don't have to disclose anything. Nothing. Zero. They stole the money right in front of us.
Incredible.
So I guess going back to the point of the national debt, and I don't want to make this super long, but just to ask you this question, Max.
Sure.
So if I guess on average the debt growth is growing about 5 to 6%. I think the COVID one was like crazy, like close to 20%. I think that year. But if it's growing around 5 to 6%, that's right. And the GDP is growing at 1 to 2%. Either we reduce the debt, which I think is what's being worked on, or we grow our GDP like crazy.
Yes.
From your perspective, how fast, even with the AI and everything that's being introduced, all these efficiencies, how fast do you think our GDP can grow in the next few years? Do you think it outpaces debt or never will outpace debt growth at this rate?
I think you'll be at 3.5 to 4.5. Okay. I think that would be a nice target for a $30 trillion machine. And I think we will be shocked at how much manufacturing comes back to the United States. I think we would be shocked at how fast our trade deficit falls. Remember, when a dollar is on a trade deficit, it's not only a debt, okay, it's a deficit by itself, but it takes a dollar off the GDP. So it's a 2-to-1 hit. So if I reduce my trade deficit by $1 trillion because I'm now doing it here. Remember, GDP is whatever you produce on the soil of the United States. So it leaves the deficit, okay? It goes away from the trade deficit and it stacks on top of the GDP. So it drops $1 off the trade deficit and it adds $1 to the GDP. So you're going to find a tremendous swing. That's the whole goal of Trump's plan of beating people over the head with a sledgehammer of tariffs. Bring your stuff here and I won't charge you a dime. And everybody will be happy. So that's the whole point. And that's what he will get.
Yeah. And if you track the index, the manufacturing index in the US, I think it's the PMI or whatever.
Yep.
It's been in a bear market since 2022. So technically, for the last 2.5, 3 years, we've only had a bull market on tech stocks, right? The Max 7. Yeah. But all the other manufacturing businesses in the US, with this interest rates being so high, they haven't been able to grow. In fact, they've been kind of like shrinking. So if you are able to bring manufacturing, in-house in the US, you're going to see a whole new sector, or I guess the other part of the S&P 500 and US kind of like equities, race against the Max 7, which I think is what we need. We need the stock market to kind of like find an equilibrium, because right now it's just too heavily weighted on tech companies from my perspective.
Yeah, that is certainly a risk, but think about right this minute. Think about this for a second. I'm glad you brought that up. 6 weeks ago, the brilliant money managers of the country could not buy NVIDIA fast enough at 42 times earnings. And today, at 18 times earnings, they think it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, NVIDIA didn't cut their business by 14 multiples in the last, 6 weeks. That didn't happen. So something is not right. And I think what we're going to find is, I said this back when everybody was wondering when, Apple would get to $1 trillion and Apple would get to $2 trillion and then Apple would get to $3 trillion. And then suddenly, wow, there's like Remember the first guy that ran the 4-minute mile and it took like decades to figure out how to do it?
Yep.
What's funny about the first guy that ran the 4-minute mile is in the next 45 days, 8 more people ran a 4-minute mile.
Now it's like the fucking bench. It's like,
and now it's like, wait a minute, you took 4 minutes to run a mile?
Yeah, it's like eighth grade girls are doing it. And shit.
Yeah. So this is there's going to be lots of $1 trillion companies. Lots. Why? Well, because there's so much money and wealth. Look, guys, you can be scared all day long, but here's some facts you can't get around. With the exception of the last 5 weeks, we have never been richer in our entire history. We have never made this much money. We have never had companies make this much profit. Ever. So while everybody's getting lost in all this tariff garbage, you're missing the entire point. Do not risk doing that. Do not let your emotions take you off what's happening. I promise you will regret it.
Absolutely. And I want to go to the chat. I want to do a few things really quickly. Amazing conversation. It's a nice mix right now. I love this. People are loving it in the chat. Stom asks, why would they bring their manufacturing here when it's still more expensive with the tariffs?
It's more. No,
that's not true, right?
Expensive. It wouldn't be more expensive than that. If I'm a company in Europe, and I want to sell stuff in the United States, remember, I'm still selling the stuff. Okay, whatever the stuff is, I'm still selling it in the United. The reason you want to do it if you're a guy outside is because you're then on the good side of the president, number one. Number two, you're going to get tax breaks because that's what he's told everybody. I'll give you a great tax deal. I'll give you some benefits. I'll give you some credits. I'll help you build your factory. You won't get any tariffs. So you're still selling into the very same market you wanted to sell into. The only thing you had to do is bring your stuff here.
Yeah.
That's it. It didn't cost you anything. Nothing.
Yeah. He said, even if they do bring manufacturing here, wouldn't that make Americans pay more for the product? You kind of just answered that, I think.
No.
Okay. No. Gotcha. Soul says these streams are mandatory weekly check-in. Do much knowledge being dropped here. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, Soul. Happy birthday. Let's see. K Chandra says totally insightful and breaking the barriers. Amazing. Thank you guys for being on. Make in-house, sell in-house, no tariff, tax breaks, benefits. Manufacturing in America is more expensive, Stom says.
No. It used to be. It used to be more expensive.
Yeah.
And the press wants you to believe that it still is expensive. But let me tell you what's happening. What's happening is factories and manufacturing facilities that used to take literally thousands of people to run are now being run by a dozen people sitting with a bunch of computers and robots and sensors.
And robots, yeah.
Yeah, it is nothing like what it used to be. Nothing. Now, when it was expensive, remember, guys, that this all of this is like a full round robin. We started in the 1980s. We started sending our stuff to China. We built China. China didn't build China. We built China. We built China by sending them trillions of dollars worth of business. Why? Because farmers in China would work for 60 cents an hour. Then you're right. It was more expensive to do something in America. So what they did is they brought down cost by sending it over there and shipping it back here. That quote benefit is over. It's done. They've expensed.
I mean, if you look at one good example of this is if you look at like fracturing, like hydraulic fracturing, oil and gas.
Yes,
it's
sir.
the most efficient method in the U.S. in the world to extract oil, right? And it's been a trend in the U.S. since 2008.
Yep.
And what you're seeing now is with all these manufacturing facilities as they get replaced by robots, the difference in cost with China is going to shrink, right? Because you're not depending on labor. Like the labor in the US is more expensive, but if you need a third or half of your employees to actually be working on the factory, then the costs are pretty much offset, like difference in between China or India and here. Plus, if you get tax credits and subsidies from the government, you're probably even manufacturing cheaper because you're selling into your own country. I mean, the US is the number one consumer.
That's the whole. You've
right?
hit it right on the head. You've said exactly like if you were sitting in the Oval Office with Donald Trump, he would look over you and go, "You fucking got it exactly right. That's why I'm going to make these deals. So stop fucking worrying about it." That's what he's really trying to say. When he says, "I'm not worried about the stock market," what the press wants you to think is, "Holy shit, he's going to crash the stock market." No, what he's really saying is you shouldn't worry about the stock market either, because when I'm done, you're going to make a fortune.
For sure. Amazing conversation. This is a nice little change from what we normally do. So people are loving it. I do want to do a quick reset really quickly here. So if you guys are new to the streams, we do these twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. Today, 10 a.m. PST. Friday or Tuesday, a little bit later at 1 p.m. PST. We've been having Max on here for the last month. He's a regular on the show, running it with me, so expect more of him. Go ahead and follow everybody on the panel here. Max here, I was showing you guys his Twitter. Go check out his YouTube as well. Expect more content from him on his Twitter as well as from us. Turning up the quality. We're going to have interviews. We can start interviewing some good guests this next week. We're going to have my friend Bra on, who's an OG, Pepe OG. He's bought Pepe earlier than I think anybody I ever seen. Has a great story. Everybody loves Bra. So it'll be great to have him on to hear a little bit about his story, his thoughts on memes and on where everything's headed as well. So look out for that. And then the B3L guys as well for Loco Danksy Roats. We've been doing these streams for 8 months now, starting in August, kind of in a similar time we're at now, kind of at the end of a correction here. Since then, NFTs went on a little bit of a run. Crypto absolutely exploded. It's been amazing to do these streams, and we're just getting started. Obviously, the headline, you're not bullish enough. We've been pretty, consistent on the stream here to, just look at the crisis of the past. There's, like Max is always saying, there's like a crisis almost every year, sometimes multiple times a year, that tries to scare people out of the markets. One year it's tariffs, the next year it's trade, like all these different things. But and I want to hear, Max, as well. You were talking about how the last several, the most explosive days are usually nearest the bottom as well.
Yeah. That's a good point.
We need to get to that in a second. But just to conclude what I'm saying, obviously the title of the stream, we've been pretty consistent here that, whether Bitcoin, I think we're going to get a bounce here, but whether it goes straight to all-time high from here, comes down one more time, the future is extremely bright for crypto. We're seeing all this crazy, amazing things going on in the background with the strategic reserves. The important thing to focus on with these things is that these things are structural and long lasting, and not only going to make sure Bitcoin goes back over 120K, but make sure that we're here for decades from now, that our industry has legitimacy and all that. So we appreciate you guys for being on. Follow everybody on the stream. B3L guys, for Loco, do you want to go ahead and tell them a little bit of what you guys going on?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we are a group of investors and builders in the space. We've been around pretty much after COVID. We started a community closer to 2022 to really bring in people that wanted to invest and didn't really know how to do it in a way that it was safe. Within our community that we built with about 500 investors and builders, as I mentioned, we have access to trading tools as well as indicators that you can use if you have our NFT. So you can find more information in our website or in our Twitter page, Bridge3 Labs. And we have a collection of about 1,000 NFTs where kind of like not only just have the identity of being part of our community, we call them beasts, but also have access to a wealth of knowledge and people that can either help you build or participate in some investments with you along the way. So that's pretty much what we are, and we're excited to do the spaces with Brian and Max and keep growing the audience as the space needs, I believe, more knowledge of what's going on and not panic. So that's it.
Love that, brother. Well said. Well said. I'm seeing some of these comments. G7 says, love the stream. I appreciate you guys for all being on. We got about 1,000 views. I wish Twitter needs to do concurrent viewers. If somebody knows in the chat can tell me how to see that, or if there's any way, let me know. I think that's one thing Elon could add that would be good, is somehow concurrent viewers. You could see how many people are currently on. But either way, we appreciate you guys. 1,000 views total at about halfway through the show. It's amazing that everybody who's still on right now, still learning. Most people, I feel like, even if they're scoping and checking Twitter a couple times a day, have a lot of times checked out. But the people that are not only holding and adding to the good positions, but also paying attention and continuing to learn, are going to really set themselves apart. So we appreciate you guys for being on. Now, what else? What else is going on the last few days? Rhodes. Justin Trudeau formally stepped down as Canada Prime Minister. Do you have any thoughts on that?
This is like,
as our resident
5 to 6 months old news. Yeah, he is.
Way to go, Brad.
Yeah, he announced that he was stepping down a while ago, and then the Liberal Party had to, or I guess the Democrats had to find a new leader. We have our new leader in place on that side, and then we have a strong leader on the Republican side or the conservative side. So we will have an election this fall, and at which point Trudeau will no longer be the prime minister. But until then, he'll still be kind of as we've seen with Biden, just kind of in the seat doing things, but not running another term.
Gotcha.
Now, of course, this news could be different unless he's like legit stepping down and then the new Liberal leaders taking over. But that would be the only aspect that would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. I hate to say this, but the more time that unfolds, I have a feeling, and it's just an opinion, but I think you're going to find that Trump is going to want to make an offer that Canada can't refuse. And I say that only because the global force that your country and ours would have across the globe would be a true tectonic shift that would never be overcome. And I have a feeling that while it looks right this minute like they're butting heads over the topic, I think what you're going to find, say, a year down the road, it's going to turn into, wow, there might be an idea here to partner over. I recognize all the sensitivity to it, but my hunch is you might be pleasantly surprised at what this looks like a year from now. Just got to be patient, like everything else.
Yeah, and I think Trump wants to move fast, right? Because China's already turning the money printer on, right? Oh, yeah. They're already easing the economy. So yeah. He knows he needs to lower the interest rate so he can stimulate the economy. But yeah, so I don't know. Rhodes, we're gonna say something. Sorry, I interrupt you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that with this whole Trudeau and Flux situation, it makes all of this more complicated, right? We don't have clear leadership right now, and maybe that's Trump's angle right away is because we're in a state of disarray, it's more opportune for him. Sure. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Certainly a lot more to come with it.
Yeah. Bren, did you want me to mention about the down days and up days?
Yes. Yeah, I love that statistic
Okay.
last time.
So back to the topic of panic and wasted effort. You know, the mind. By the way, I may have said this before, so if I did, I apologize in advance if I'm boring anybody with it. But here's the thing that you wanna accept as a fact, even though it's going to sound awful strange. I tell every client, I've told every client for 40 years the following statement. They're gonna have one enemy that they have to worry about in their investing pathway. One really bad enemy. Just one. And the bad news is the enemy is themselves. And what I mean by that is our emotions at very critical times work almost diametrically opposed to your own interest. And you've got to accept that right away. I mean, you have to accept it as fact, okay? And you and even if it's uncomfortable to accept, you must remember it the rest of your life. Because periods like what we're living through right now, when we look back on them, you only understand when you look back on them. Okay, you don't understand while it's happening because your emotions overpower you. And the reason we know that, repeats over and over again is this. Last year, I'm going to give you an example of what fear does. Okay, last year, the S&P 500 went up 24%. Okay, so remember that number for a minute. It's pretty obvious. Everybody knows it. You can look it up. If you missed the top 10 days of gains, the top 10 days, 10 out of 250 trading sessions, if you missed the 10 best ones, your return was not 24%, it was 4%. Now, let that sink in for a minute because here's why everybody gets fooled. The top 10 days were all within 5 trading sessions of the 10 worst days. So what does that mean? Like you might be thinking, what the fuck is Mike talking about? Well, here's what he's talking about. Your brain got you out on the worst days because what you said to yourself is, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of the way of this freight train and I'm going to get back in at a lower price and then I'm going to make it back. Well, your brain does not accept that 5 days later is going to be one of those days. And that's how you miss it. That's why, by the way, since I started in this business 43 years, the average investor has received 35% of what the market actually delivered. The problem is this: to get the 10 best days, guess what you had to do? You had to live through the 10 worst days. You didn't go around them. You didn't jump in and jump out. You had to walk through the fucking graveyard and get the other days. You have to accept that. And by the way, it's the same way in crypto.
Yep. You look how these corrections end. It's like you said, the train leaves the station quietly, and all of a sudden it just rips. Usually near the bottom too. You see the biggest days, just like here on Bitcoin. Yeah, that's nuts. It's just because you hear all the time. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get in now, and even if I have to buy back 10% higher, like you said, they never do, for the most part. Yeah, that's nuts. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that. That is wild. Let me see. Let me look at the chat here. Bullish on you and boss man. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go to Bitcoin real quick. So Mike, you expect probably going into the weekend. You said Friday. I think you were talking about the stock market, that it's been down week for 3 weeks, so it's unlikely to have a big day, which it didn't really. In crypto, we should, you said the best case scenario is we
Actually, I was wrong.
Oh, you're wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong. The market did bounce today.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And the question will be is, can we close? What you want to see, here's what you want to see in a market that is exhausting itself. Okay, first of all, we had tremendous extremes on every kind of sentiment indicator. I think Friday of last week, for example, the U.S. stock market printed, meaning people bought more puts than in the entire history of the stock market. Now, that's a lot of puts. The most puts ever were sold on Friday. Let me tell you something about the public. They are horrible investors. Horrible. When you see them reach extremes, when you see the public reach an extreme, it is almost over. Remember what Warren Buffett said. It's very simple. Be greedy when everybody else is afraid, and be afraid when everybody else is greedy. That's just a fancy way of saying what I just said. The public is a terrible investor.
Uh-huh.
So when you feel terrified, when you feel like that's it, I'm fucking done, I'm never going to do this again. If I ever buy another altcoin, I'm going to chop my hand off. When you feel like that, it's about over. It's about over.
Love that. That's where we're at right now for sure. You said that the investor, the public is a terrible investor. I think
you're terrible.
Crypto Twitter is just like an even more amplified version of that.
Yeah, it's like the public on steroids twice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the public who, for sure. Just World Liberty. Eric Trump said World Liberty is getting started.
Hey Max, what do you think of gold versus Bitcoin right now? Do you think Bitcoin still has to catch up in the mindset of traditional investors, or because gold keeps hitting all-time highs day after day?
Yeah.
And whereas Bitcoin is more still correlated pretty much to risk assets. And
what do you attribute this move up to versus just recently?
Hatred of Trump.
Got it.
True.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I'm going to give you, and by the way, again, I'm going to repeat this. This is not about politics, but I'm going to read you. Let me find it for a second. It's on my phone. I'm going to read you some data from this week's inflation report, the expected year-out inflation report that shook the markets up on Wednesday, I think it was. Let me find it. Hold on. Shoot. Anyway, it was the consumer confidence 1-year expectation of PPI, okay, inflation. Now, they broke it down by how people voted. And here's what's happened in the last 7 weeks of this report. People who voted for a Democrat to be president have gone from a 1-year inflation expectation of 0.2%. Okay, remember that. To get this, 6.5% as of Wednesday morning. 6.5%. Democrats, who, by the way, completely ignored all the inflation that was actually happening, now believe that the next 1 year is going to be the worst they've ever measured. But in the very same report, Republicans, those that voted Republican, went from 1.1% of expected inflation to 0.2% of expected inflation. Now, if you don't think that what we're watching is in effect politically driven, then you're not paying attention. This is, I believe we are witnessing, this is going to sound nutty, but if you look at the data and you look at the vitriol and you look at gold, and you are witnessing a political statement, whether you like it or not. It is not a financial statement. It is not an economic statement. It is not earnings have plummeted statement. It is not holy shit, nobody's making any money statement. It is none of those. When you erase all the things that it could be, you're left with one or two things. People despise Trump. They hate him with vitriol I have never experienced in my career. They despise him. Fuck, they tried to kill him twice in broad daylight. So this is what you're watching. You are watching unbelievable amounts of emotion be expensed under the guise that they're afraid about our economy. It is not. Our economy is going to be stronger than you can imagine. It is set in stone. Let me tell you something. We created a social science called demogranomics. A lot of the videos I posted tell you about it. It follows people. Let me give you something very, very simple. Does anybody mind if I spend about 2 minutes and tell a quick story?
No, go for it.
Okay, so let's pretend that for Loco and Bren and Rotes and myself and Danksy we're all 16 years old again, and we work at McDonald's. Okay, it's Saturday. Our buddies are having a party Saturday night. You know, we're 16. What are we going to do? We're going to go to the party, right?
Hell yeah.
So what do we do to get there? Well, we tell the boss, hey, give us the day session. Give us day hours. We got to be out at night. And he agrees. So we're all sitting there and we're working all day long. We leave at 6 o'clock. Well, what are we doing at 5:45? Well, remember, our buddies are giving a party, and we're looking at our watch, and we're saying, "Fuck, it's only 15 more minutes." And then all of a sudden, we look outside, and 6 tour buses show up in the parking lot. What do you think's going to happen at McDonald's? It's going to get busy, like really busy. Why is it going to get busy? Well, because people showed up. The hamburgers didn't get any better. The French fries are the same they were a half hour earlier. The Coca-Cola is the exact same fluid. The only reason McDonald's is going to get swamped is because people showed up in the parking lot. Now, I want you to remember that for a second, and then I want you to listen to this. The United States economy has 3 of the largest generations of people ever birthed in the United States, now filling up a pipeline of demand. We know exactly how many people are going to demand things from this economy for the next 60 years. Nothing is going to make them go away. Nothing is going to make them not grow up. Nothing is going to make them act in general any different than human beings have acted for 1,000 years. They're all going to grow up and do the very general thing in their life over and over again. Now, I'm going to have you pay attention to one very specific generation. They're called Generation Y or Millennials. Currently, there's 88 million of them, the largest generation ever in the United States economy. Boomers, of which I am one of, used to be the largest generation. There were 78 million of us. But guess what? We, the boomers, built the 80s and 90s. Okay? The 80s and 90s timeline for Generation Y started in late 2023. And what's the first thing that happened? We ran out of houses. Why did we run out of houses? Because people showed up in the parking lot. I want you to understand this analogy. 88 million kids between the age of 20 and 39 are all going to grow up for the next 20 years. Meaning every 12 months, a new group, think of a giant egg going through a snake, and then chop that egg up into 20 years. It means that 88 million people is about 4.5 million people a year. They're going to show up on the doorstep of your parking lot. They're going to be what we call economic impact age. And they're going to start making big decisions like houses and cars and school and kids and marriage. Try to get married if you're 35 years old today. You're going to get married in a year and a half if you want to go to a nice place. Why? Because people showed up in the parking lot. And they're going to show up every 12 months for the next 20 years. And then right after they do that, guess who's right behind them to repeat that again with 81 million people? Generation Z. They're going to walk that same pathway. They're not going to disappear. They're not going to vanish. They're not going to not become adults. Our economy is destined to be busier than it's ever been for 50 fucking years. And we are the only developed nation on earth that has this generational makeup. That's why the rest of the world will succumb to what we demand. And that's why tariffs will not last a long time, because people will make a deal.
I love that. And those demographics obviously play into why crypto, what we call crypto right now, will be
explosive. Now back to that question about gold. Why is it going to eventually go down? Because it will. Okay. Here's why it's going to eventually go down. There is a group of people, my generation, who grew up being told that gold is an inflation hedge and it secures your value. Well, as time evolves, my generation is going to go away. And there's going to be fewer and fewer people who will buy into that idea. Because today, if all 5 of us, for example, that are on this call right now, if all 5 of us grabbed 10 65-year-olds and 10 25-year-olds, and we sat them at the conference table and we said, guys, you need to own gold as a risk hedge. The 65-year-olds would look at us and go, well, yeah, I understand. The 25-year-olds would look at us and go, you got to be fucking kidding me. And here's what they would say. They would say, you want me to invest in a yellow metal that you dig out of the ground and hopefully get enough of those little specks that you can clean them off, heat them up, and pour them into this mold that makes a brick that you can then stamp by yourself a 0.9999 on the back of it so that I think it's pure yellow metal. It's pure. And then suddenly it's worth something? Are you friggin' kidding me? Instead, now, by the way, we're going to take all those responses and then we're going to say, well, you know what? If you don't like idea number two, if you don't like idea number one, here's idea number two. Number two is this thing we call Bitcoin. And you know what the 25-year-olds are going to do? They're going to go, fuck yeah, now we're talking. I understand that exactly. And the 65-year-olds are going to go, are you kidding me? You want me to invest in what? Fucking software? What is it? It's vapor. It's like pet rocks. You want me to put my hard-earned money into something you can't even show me? You follow? You see what's happening? In other words, as time evolves, the generations themselves will change our money.
Yep. Wow.
Just by time going by.
That's profound.
So listen, guys, a tectonic shift of opportunity is unfolding all around you. It looks like a bunch of garbage. It looks like a complete fucking madhouse is going on. But don't buy into that garbage.
I love that paradigm shift. Mike says, no joke, I've had the exact same situation happen to me and my grandfather. Your grandfather gave you some good advice then, bro.
And the answer is yes, I am 64.
Oh, love that. Let's go. Let's go. Generation can change my money. Yeah, loving how freaking active the chat is the entire stream. Love that. We're pushing up at 1.4K total, with a good bit in the stream. So appreciate you guys again for being here during this time where things are quiet. That says a lot about you. Crypto is the game changer for the golden age. Absolutely. Now, you said something really, I think, good on the chat. I mean, in the stream yesterday, Max, about how crypto, as we call it right now, we might not even call it crypto, but how it's pretty much like encompass everything that we know, and finance and everything. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think what's happening right now is the word crypto is kind of its own defeat, right? In my opinion, it's making some people think there's something wrong with it. I mean, like crypto, what is that? We're going to have to find a way to call it something that doesn't give off the mental impression. Remember, the mind is what keeps most people out of the opportunities that arise in front of them. They're scared. Generally, here's the thing about humans. Generally speaking, they're terrified of being successful. It's a mind game. There are very few people that are prepared for all the stuff that comes with being successful. So what do? They defeat themselves so that they never have to face that pressure. That's the way the mind works. If they believe that they're afraid of being successful, then they will not be successful. But if they accept all the things that come with it, strangely enough, they will be in balance with the way the universe works. And they will shockingly find themselves in the middle of lots of opportunity. But you got to be ready for the deal. And the deal is it comes with a lot of shit. A lot of pressure, a lot of things that are not fun. Like, for example, what we're doing right now. This will lead to immense wealth. But only if you can figure out how to stay on the train. So what's my point in all that? My point is this. there will be a time when we will not talk about $278,500 Bitcoin, because the number is so large that it's like it scares the shit out of people. They don't realize that you know what? You could buy $30 a week in Bitcoin and still get rich. But what I think is happening to a lot of people is their mind is hearing $100,000. Fuck, I don't even spend that on my house. I mean, in other words, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's a number that is causing a mental fracture. And I think if you could figure out how to not make it look like it's 100,000, even though that it is, you would find a lot more acceptance faster, because people would accept that they can get it. So I think there's going to have to be a lot of education where you got to tell people, look, guys, you don't think to yourself, holy fuck, this thing cost $100,000. Think, I'm going to buy $50 a week. Because if the $100,000 goes to $200,000, I'm going to make 100% on my $50. That's what people have to accept. They got to get out of how much is Bitcoin? Because they can't see themselves buying a Bitcoin. So you got to get them connected with, no. You're looking at the wrong thing. This is an asset you can buy 0.000, put as many zeros as you want, and then a 1. And you can buy that. So I think there's this massive education that we got to let people understand. This is not a scary monster that costs $100,000. You can buy $25 a week for your kids.
Yeah, and like Saylor always says too, it's apart from like the gains that are going to come from it. It's like you're protecting your money.
Bingo.
From getting fucking railed by inflation.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's true.
Great point. So Max, I know who gives a fuck. We'll be here either way. You said obviously some apathy and some chop would be the best case scenario, but is that what you think happens over the next few weeks? More likely we chop here. You think Bitcoin bounces? You have any opinion?
Well, I mean, I don't, I know this is going to sound like boring as shit, but I don't really look at it that way. I don't. I've been doing this too long to try to get your mind wrapped around what it's going to do. You either believe or you don't.
Yep.
You are either an investor or a trader.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. Those are the things you have to decide.
Investors aren't concerned if we bounce here, is what you're saying.
Yeah, nobody that owns Bitcoin for the reasons you should own Bitcoin is worried about whether it bounces on Tuesday at 5 or Sunday in the middle of the night. Yep. It is nobody that's owning Bitcoin or any other major currency is thinking that way if you own it for the right reason. And look, if you're a trader, then none of this matters. I'm going to tell you a possibly ugly story if you're a trader. And I'm going to give you an analogy in the stock world. Okay. I've been doing this a long time, and I feel very blessed that I can sit here with these great guys and I can share ideas with people. I think that I think I'm the luckiest guy in the world. But here's the point. You cannot approach this market as a trader and expect that the odds are with you. And here's why. In my 43 years, I have met, you can't believe how many traders I've met. I mean, I've met them everywhere. I've been on 1,000 television hits, and I've been on the board of every major exchange getting interviewed for 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Everyone you can name, I've been there. And they're all filled with traders. And here's the point. I don't know one single trader who retired rich. Now, I know lots of traders that had good runs. But it's kind of like Vegas. There's a saying in Vegas, don't stay 2 nights. You know why they say don't stay 2 nights?
Because you lose it on the third.
Because on the first night, you make money. That's the way the game is designed, by the way, guys. And then they want you in that luxurious room and those drinks and the pretty girls serving them. They want all of that. You want to know why they want all of that? Because they want you to stay for 2 or 3 nights because they're going to take your entire fucking wallet. And that's the way trading works. Now, investors, the guys and ladies who said, you know what, I'm buying this for the long term because I believe in the United States economy. And that's why I buy stocks of companies operating in it. Well, they took all the shit. All the shit. Okay. They took every bit of it. They hated parts of it. They despise these kind of days or weeks or months. Everybody hates watching their account go down with a passion. But they stayed on their path and they retired rich. So you gotta have one or two of those perspectives. And that is what should base your expectation. Because when you get all these things mixed up is when none of it makes sense.
Wow. It's amazing. Let me see here. What was I about to say? Somebody said, oh yeah, for sure, Small Peach. I appreciate you, bro. Ethan says the live stream is always worth it. I'm reading the comments on the actual post as well. Always nice to be here. Thanks for being here, MJ. The way you talk is so intriguing. Appreciate it. Wolf. Thanks for sharing, Hawk. Wow, this has been a great stream today. Let me see here. Going to the chat. This is the most active the chat's even been, even when we had a few more viewers last time. And I'm going to do a giveaway in the chat and then from the comments of the post as well, a separate one. But every time I do want to reward somebody who has been super consistent and added value to the show. Today, I'm going to do somebody who's added a lot of great comments because she's been super consistent. I don't know how you're even typing this fast, brother, honestly. David Johnson. Congrats. I'll go ahead and send you 100 USDC after this. I really appreciate you for consistently engaging in the chat today. Is there 2 people who control your account? Because are you guys seeing how many fucking messages this kid's sending? No, I love it, David. I appreciate you, brother. And again, right now, markets are quiet, so I love how we're talking about all this other stuff, and expect more of this on the next stream as well. Like I said, next week we are going to have, and we're not done today. We'll go on for a little bit longer for those who can stay on. But
next week, the boy that was coming, Bren. You said you're one of your
boys. We're gonna. I wanted to get a proper poster and announce it ahead of time. So Tuesday, gonna have my boy Bra on. A lot of you guys know Bra, universally loved among the meme coin and crypto space. Pepe OG. I think Bra is like earlier to Pepe than I think anybody I've ever known, and crazy story. Super cool guy. He's making a lot of
cool. He's got 18,000 followers.
What did you say?
I said he's got 18,000 followers. I'm fucking never gonna get there.
Of course you are. What are you talking about? With this, Brad's just been consistent in the game for several years now. He's a beast. Max says he's never going to get to 18,000 followers. That's hilarious. Of course you are. With this fucking talk, come on, brother. No, yeah, definitely. With that being said, with all jokes aside, definitely go ahead and shoot Max a follow. He's just started getting consistent in tweeting here the last few weeks. Got him a nice IO. We got some nice clips here from the stream, so we'll have those up both on my account, Max's account, other people's accounts as well. Expect a lot more YouTube videos and stuff from him, and just collab together, all of us as well. So, as well as, like I said, Max's YouTube channel. I really love this understanding demogranomics video. The stuff he was talking about a few minutes ago, but he gives a lot of nice visuals, which I really love. So I really love this one, and then another one I recommend again is the media headlines one, which is really relevant right now. So great stuff, Max.
Yeah, man.
Let's see. Freedom Jacks is tuning in with the G Bren trades. Appreciate it. Anything else? NFTs this week. Any news or anything going on, Rhodes? Or much of the same?
No, we've had a couple new collections drop.
Oh yeah.
Which is good. That like good vibe clubs was well received, good art, and then the Sam Spratt collection as well. Both.
Yeah. I see a lot of. I think the Good Vibes Club 0.16. What is it? What was like a 0.07 mint, something like that. So it's up 2x. Not bad in this market. Some of these look pretty cool, but yeah, not as much as new mints. I think. And I'm in a lot of these NFTs. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I was chatting hard there, and
okay.
I wonder where you are. I was going all Max here, and
okay. No more drinking on the stream.
But yeah, the Masquerade as well from Sam Spratt. You have to go to Nifty Gateway to see that one. That one's on the high end, 4 or 5 ETH range, but collector piece, art piece, PFPable as well. I think it's a really interesting one. For me, I would wait. I'm still, or for myself, not for everyone, but myself, I'd still wait a couple weeks on Good Vibes Club just to see how it kind of settles in. Just since we haven't had a strong NFT collection in a while. Punks have been moving, higher end sales. That's really good to see. Got a nice little rebound across collections here recently, but yeah, a bit of energy. So that's good. If you go just to Marketplace on Nifty Gateway, you should see it there. That's Nifty Gateway Studio, niftygateway.com. There you go. And then into Marketplace. But you can kind of see them there.
Delayed a little bit, but yeah, I'm on it right now.
Marketplace, top right-hand corner.
Yeah, I'm on it right now. I think it might be delay. Are you watching the stream?
No, like you're not on the Marketplace tab. Is all I'm saying.
Right. This.
Yeah. So the lowest one is in at like 4.5. I mean, they're USD prices, which is OpenSea's done that, and it's USD prices here. I don't like that. We like to know it in the crypto prices. Certainly when you've been pricing everything in crypto for so long, and then all of a sudden it's flipped to USD and you never knew what the USD price was of most assets in the past, makes doing that mental math, all that kind of stuff hard. I don't like it. I'm sure USD is probably a good spot, but then you're going to get more volatility when it's USD versus just the actual crypto price. But yeah, these are kind of interesting. Basically all, I think these are all kind of essentially hand-drawn, hand-finished, somewhat in the sense of one-on-ones. I'm not sure. I don't know how you would auto-generate these otherwise, unless there's like patterns that he's put on them in general. But they're interesting. They're cool. Sam Spratt is one of the more well-respected, well-performing NFT artists that there is. He had recently had a multi-million-dollar sale on his one-on-one piece. So, certainly interesting there. And then, yeah, Good Vibes Club over on Magic Eden. I think this one, 3D art typically doesn't perform super well. At a distance, this doesn't have that 3D feel. Kind of a blend between punks and doodles and say Clone X or something like that. All collections that have done well. And then it's getting some KOL traction on X. We'll see how long that lasts. But it's interesting, to say the
It
least. And I
reminds
think,
me of Imaginary Ones. Remember that collection?
yeah, Imaginary Ones had that kind of 3D feel to them, and very shiny to them overall. So you're right, shiny, colorful. Full body 3D is like a complete non-success in the NFT market, but at least this is the portrait look. Your profile pic works really well, and like I said, the 3D element to it isn't too dramatic, so I think it plays well. A lot of variety, etc. So it's fun to see something like this. If this was 2022, I think this just crushes. You probably see this get to 1 ETH plus. But in this market, like I said, I would wait out a couple weeks and see where it lands in. If
Do
you
you
like
think that's
them,
generally
you
a
buy
good
them. But
strategy? I've heard Gary Vee and other people talking about NFTs, where just like how I like to do with crypto, like if you're buying the brand new launches of anything, the chances that you're hitting something that's gonna be good long term is very low. It's like very gambly. Waiting for that initial pullback or just that few weeks to kind of see how the team goes, how price reacts. Do you think that's generally a good strategy?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your horizon, right? NFTs have this like 2 to 3 week post launch where you get that second wave of momentum, and the collections that get that typically perform well. A good post reveal bump is also a really positive sign. So yeah, otherwise you see this hype early on and it just fades fast, and then you're wrecked, right? And so that happens a lot in NFTs, and that's why I'm sure it's recommended. But you get in post reveal, you get in obviously on a mint scenario, those always tend to perform really well. And then you sell kind of in those early few days before reveal. Usually plays out well. You get reveal, you buy the reveal dip if it's a good looking project, you don't see any red flags, and then you ride it out from there. There's all kinds of different strategies to roll out, but that 3 week time horizon, if the collection's still doing well, that's where you can see it continue perform well. And it's a good deal on a great project versus a great deal on a not good project, is kind of the mentality there, right? So look to see how things play out, and you might not make as much X's on it, or any X's, but at least you are buying something that has got some quality and staying power.
Yeah, you're protecting your risk better. I think overall, waiting for that, like you said, you might miss out on some gains, but your hit rate's going to be a lot higher if you're buying. At least you have some data to go off of instead of just buying and hoping it does well. That's interesting. Yeah, it looks like these are at least getting some buys pretty consistently. I'm in a lot of these NFT spaces, and it seems like it's like the norm to kind of say that who knows? Like it's kind of the norm to say that we'll never get back to like 2021 prices on any of these projects. When in reality, I think a lot of stuff won't. But like we've seen in these cycles in any of these asset classes, from crypto to a lot of stuff. Of course, there's been asset classes that are one and done, but the ones that do actually have technology that has a sticking point, which obviously we've talked about in these streams, NFT technology will. It looks like it's already happening. It looks like it's the norm, just like in the second crypto bull run, to think that, okay, we're not going back to all time highs. It's, I think that's what the kind of the consensus is right now. But I still think there's going to be a second NFT bull run. We're seeing a lot of the same parallels from the I would say 2020 bull run for crypto, or leading up to it again, where everybody thought, it's just that initial hype phase. It's tulips. We're never going to get back to all time highs, blah, blah, blah. And then within a few months, you had the richest man in the world shilling not only Bitcoin, but like Doge and all that stuff. It was crazy to see how fast that thing changed. I think something similar is going to happen to NFTs here. Do apes get back to their all-time highs in ETH? I don't know, but I think a lot of these projects will. And I think it'll be concentrated in the few IP projects that stuck around, that have good operators, good IP, like the VeeFriends, the Pudgies, the Azukis, and then CryptoPunks, Ordinals, and a few other things, meme coin NFTs as well. But yeah, I'm still bullish. I'm still optimistic. I don't know what the catalyst will be. We kind of never know with these things. But I'm still bullish on NFTs. I think again the technology itself is going to do really well, and then the projects that are actually building real IP and have a real collector base and stuff like that will actually do very well in 2025, 2026. Again, anything can happen, but it's on my base case. Let me see the chat.
The Sound Sprat is also on Magic Eden and other platforms. I'm sure it's defined as Masks of Lucy, so it has a different name than the Masquerade. So, and it's at 4.4 ETH floor.
Hello. Send the second NFT bull run. Yeah.
You know what? When I look at my metrics, and I said this the last couple episodes, but the buyer to seller ratio, hasn't been positive since 2022. It has been now for the last month, toying around on the positive side of 1 here for the last month. So, I could see some early makings of NFTs really performing well.
And yeah, you made a great point.
We had that bit of a bull trap there, but like I think the metrics still look good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you made a great point, and what I'm seeing like actively in VeeFriends, like the project that I'm a top 10 holder in, like I think that the you're seeing a lot of the whales, quote unquote whales, or OGs, like really gobbling up like a lot of the rare stuff and just supply in general. I think a lot of people see like the writing on the wall, like and stuff. So I mean, yeah, I think that's a good sign. That's always a good sign when you see whales buying, just like we're talking about on the stream with the Bitcoin whales buying. I think someone brought up that this number 7 wallet, I think, bought a ton. Stuff like that. Usually at the end of corrections or the end of bear markets, it's good to see whales, actively start to buy again. So I don't know if that's reflecting on apes and these other projects, but definitely seeing it in VeeFriends. Let's see. I can't say anything now, but I believe that everything is going to be massive in 2026. Yeah, for sure. How do you reduce the amount of rugs in the space? I don't know if we can, other than like just straight laws, kind of like Max was saying. Possibly like the actual front end, like where the coins come from, like Pump Fund or something would be probably something they regulate heavily, right, Max?
Yeah, I think the only way you're going to be able to slow down this stuff is you're going to have to make the exchanges that launch these things the responsible parties. And believe me, if you make them responsible, it will stop. They will legitimize it very quickly, and everybody should be hoping for that. Because think about it. I think last night we talked about that topic for a second. And imagine for a minute that you were listening to CNBC in the traditional finance world, and they told you every morning the number of companies that went public the day before. And they said to you, well, yesterday we had a little fewer than normal, and that was 29,555 companies went public. You'd probably go, are you friggin' kidding me? I mean, that's impossible, right? Well, the point is that 29,588 of them would be garbage, and everybody would lose their money. And that's what's happening in meme coins. You just have to recognize you listen to Bren when it comes to what are the ones you should focus on, and ignore every single other one of them. It's like walking into a candy store. If you're 5 years old, you see all those pretty colors and you say, God, I'd like to have every one of those things. When you know that if you do, it's going to be bad for you. So, think of it that way and try to control the fantasy that shows up in your mind that, hey, man, all I got to do is find that one coin that gives me 5,000x, right? Well, you might find it. You might find it. But on your way to finding it, you're going to find 958 that get rugged.
Yep, for sure. And of course, nothing's for sure. A lot of these coins, even a year in the game, is a lot for a meme coin. That's nothing in the grand scheme. I personally, I talk about this a lot. The coins I'm super bullish on, the 4 or 5 are, have one thing in common for the most part, is that they survived these big crashes before, which sounds nice, but it actually, in supply distribution, where most of the supply goes during those crashes, is in the strong hands. The equivalent of like the hodlers in Bitcoin, but in meme coin land, which you could argue in some places they're even more like irrational and crazy as far as holding. When supply or when prices crash 60 or 70 times, 5 different times in a year, that supply naturally goes into the strong hands that aren't going to sell as much on the way up. So I think, again, Giga, SPX, MOG, ticker Bitcoin, to me are those few coins that I've been adding to slowly. But Max is 100% right. Not only is it like a casino, a lot of people use that term. Like, casinos give you at least like what, a 45% shot at winning overall. We talk about a lot the pump fund trenches, like at least the ones that are just straight scams. Like, they're tilted way farther against you than 45%. It's terrible. So there's nothing wrong with that, of course. Like, if that's what you like to do, I think it's just have your portfolio set up in a way, and obviously in the majors that we're talking about here, and meme wise, more stronger in these coins that have been around for a while. And then obviously, if you like fucking with the pump fund stuff, do it with a small part of your portfolio. That's what I would recommend. But Rayhan, good luck to you. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, we'll stay on for maybe 10 or 15 more minutes if you guys can stay. If anybody needs to hop off, feel free. But yeah, this has been another amazing stream. Anything else, guys, that I think of? 1.6 that have been on here. Love to see that. Soul says Series 1 is the alpha for sure. For sure. Let me see, the chat's pulling up. Pump Fun is better than LA.
What's LA?
I don't know what he means by that. He means the city? I don't fucking know.
We're all moving to Pump Fun.
What? What'd you say?
I say we're all moving to Pump Fun.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually got a tip. I'll see you guys on Tuesday, though.
I appreciate you, Danksy. All right, we'll see you.
Take
care. Take care, guys. Peace. Have a good weekend.
You too, brother. Gus says, this reminds me of I've yet to be proven wrong by buying the dip. Yeah, on Bitcoin, for sure. Soul says, thank you guys for driving all this free knowledge. Of course, Soul, thank you for being on. Happy birthday again. Most expensive thing you'll pay is attention. Yeah. Yeah, the city. He means casino. Oh. Is that like another? Is that another name for?
No, we mistype LV Las Vegas.
Got you. The V is a little bit far from the A on the thing. That's an interesting. That's an interesting typo, right, Mike?
LA is the new Vegas.
Yeah,
that's right.
Fartcoin. Yeah, no, Fartcoin low key. I think Fartcoin is going to survive. It's one of the AI coins that has like a kind of hybrid narrative where there's like an actual cult community behind it. But we'll see. Yeah, and guys, we'll start looking, of course, as meme coins heat up again. I generally think it's, again, another cool consensus thing to doubt that meme coins are going to ever come back and that it's going to be 100% utility coins. While I do think there is going to be a surge in those coins, the AI tech coins and the gaming coins that like Alex Becker and stuff talks about, which I do have some of my portfolio in, I do not think it's the end for memes at all. A lot of stuff's going to die like it always does during this period, but the coins that survive are still going to do well. And I think meme coins as a whole probably haven't seen its peak as far as like overall mind share amongst maybe like the general public and everything. So what was I even relating that to? Oh, Fartcoin. Warm air rises its science. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Was another powerful stream indeed. Absolutely.
Thanks, Justin.
Definitely shoot if you're still on here, definitely shoot everybody on the panel a follow. Turn post notifications on for the next stream. We will be back here on Tuesday at 1 with we'll do a lot of the stuff we're talking about today with the general stuff that's going on. current events, but as well as have my friend Bra on to kind of talk a little bit about his story, where he sees meme coins going, and all that. Hope utility season starts soon.
That's Loki Alpha.
Alpha Bell, we're at 1,650.
Let's go.
Loki Alpha is that turn on post notifications for Bren, and you can change those notifications for when he goes live on video. And so it should give you a notification anytime he does a stream. So important.
Absolutely. I know there's this thing where you can just do generally like anytime somebody replies, which is annoying on the.
That's too much.
Yeah, exactly. Just turn on the general tweets and then the streams. Appreciate you guys. David, shoot me a DM.
Justin, send a note. Hey, thanks, Justin.
Oh yeah. Justin, we always appreciate you, brother. You've been on for a while too. Philip, you've been super freaking active in the chat lately too. I really appreciate you, brother. All of you guys, man. Seriously, this is something I wanted to do for a long time. I dreamed of like years ago with the streaming and everything, and this is amazing, and especially at a time where it's calm to have 2,000 people on here at one point in the stream is a blessing. So we love you guys. I can't imagine where we're going to be at, not just, as a stream numbers, that's whatever, but like as a community, and, especially all this knowledge that we're getting from Max and from everybody on here, but especially stuff that Max is saying. It's a foray of knowledge that he's acquired over decades and decades of decades in this stuff. So we're so blessed to have him. Again, thank you so much, Max. You know who I am. Appreciate you on today's stream for sure. Before we sign off, Rotes, Max, I think you guys are the only ones here left. Anything you want, closing thoughts you want to tell the viewers, anything you want to plug, anything at all?
I just think, we gotta recognize the opportunities ahead and the way this country is gonna fix the things in its economy and the way the demographics are going to drive change. Just buckle up and recognize change for benefits, not things to be scared of. These are massive benefits, even if they don't look like it right this second, even if it looks a little messy, even if it feels like it's a little shaky. That's how massive change works. And that's how our country has worked from day one. Imagine the first time someone saw a railroad track or saw a car work or no longer used their horse. I mean, every one of those things were terrifying. And change is spelled opportunity. And, it's not bad to be a pioneer. It's just a little scary. And as long as you control that in your mind, you're going to win. You just got to wait. You just got to be able to be patient and stay focused and have a good team helping you out.
Well said, Max. Perfectly said. Love that. Rotes, anything else?
Yeah, I just want to iterate that the sentiment in the market conditions, if you look at something like fear and greed, it feels like everything is terrible right now.
Yeah.
But like we're at 80. I woke up and checked the Bitcoin here this morning, and I said, wow, 85, let's go. We're at a great spot. And if you're sitting with dry powder waiting for a bottom, DCA in, DCA out, it's your best friend, it's your most consistent strategy. I think overall the what's going on behind the scenes is so positive when it comes to crypto that you just have to be aware, like Max said earlier, like get your emotion out of it and be aware that everything is super positive and don't get shaken out. Don't sell a low because we all of a sudden wick down to 72K to find support and then we rally back the next 3 days, right? Don't. Be prepared for something like that and continue to DCA in. Very
Got
simple.
it. That's exactly right.
Absolutely. And if you guys are still on Twitter here right now, go and follow my boy Rhodes here. He's been the most consistent person on this stream. We love his review at the beginning, and all this great insight he gives on NFTs and everything. So again, thank you for your contribution, Rhodes. We appreciate you, brother.
No worries. I love it.
For sure. Definitely follow Rhodes, Max, everybody on the panel. We'll be back again on Tuesday at 1 p.m. PST, again with a special guest. Expect more current events, more looking at everything that's going on. Again, if you like Max is saying, try not to sweat the day to day. Again, we're just getting started here, truly. The best is yet to come, and I think in every single way. So we appreciate you for being on, and we'll see you on Tuesday. We love you guys. Peace.
Well,
See you then. Enjoy the weekend.
have a good one.